Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello. I'm Dana. I make watercolor videos as well as some other stuff. In today's video, I wanted to talk about how to get nice, bright, bold colors in watercolor, because the general idea of watercolor painting is that it's really soft, somewhat transparent, a lot of the time pastel, and you might be wondering how to get some really nice, bold colors. So what I've done is I sketched out just a drawing of a toucan, and then I transferred it over to my watercolor paper. I've filled the lower half of the body with a mix of indigo and a little bit of black, and then the top half has a little bit more permanent rose added to that shade as well. And you're gonna notice that this layer is kind of that classic watercolor type effect. It's got a lot of different variances in the wash. But the point of this video was to just show you how you can take something like that is sort of a lighter wash and add to it to make it darker and bolder. So I'm just filling in each section here with different colors. I, as always, list all of the supplies I use below so that you guys can check those out. And it is important to keep in mind that I am doing a wet on dry technique here, so the paper has not been wet before I apply paint to it. So that is tip number one. If you want bright, bold colors, you're gonna probably want to do wet on dry. That is because the more water that you add, it's just going to dilute the paint and make it more soft and more transparent. With that layer dry, this is tip number two, you're gonna go back in with another layer. Using the same colors that you mixed up, you're just gonna basically go over what you've already done. Another tip, number three, is to not use as much water with your mixes this time around. So you want to wet the paint to activate it, but you really don't want to include a lot of water in that mixture, because once again, the water is just going to dilute it and you're going to get some of that transparent different variances throughout the wash. So just from those few layers that I've done or gone on top of, you can see how much brighter and how much darker those colors have turned. Like that permanent rose color is like a really bright sort of fuchsia shade now. And that is because I let the previous layer dry completely before adding another layer and making sure that that second layer that I add is not as diluted as the first. Now, adding more layers on top of layers doesn't mean that you have to have bright, bright colors. Layering is really good for just increasing the intensity of any shade, whether it's a pastel shade, a lighter shade. You can really just make it pop a little bit more if you just add a layer or even 3 layers on top. Tip number 4 is to watch your blends. So when you have colors blending together, if colors touch, such as the yellow and the green in this example, you don't want the colors to be so, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't want them to fight with one another. So you don't want the colors to end up looking muddy when they mix together. So you want to be sure that the colors go together. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm struggling to find the right words. For example, if this darker blue color that I had used mixed in with that green color, it would look muddy. And by muddy, I mean just brownish and sloppy looking. And because you're doing more layers and you're adding that intensity, it's not gonna look very nice. It's just gonna look like a blob of color that is bland. So I know this video was a pretty quick one, but hopefully that answers some of your questions about creating some bolder watercolor pieces. If you liked this, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.